Celts, Romans, Anglo-Saxons, Vikings, and Normans occupied Britain. In this work, we will explore the contribution of these rebels, the culture, religion, literature, and societies that we are studying today. The first inhabitants of Britain about whom we have more or less accurate information are the Celts and Britons. The exact date of arrival of the Celts is unknown. The first information about the inhabitants of Britain was presented in the records of Phthia, a Greek geographer who sailed near the coast of Britain between 330 and 320. After the resettlement, the Celts began to earn money, and the pottery they used pieces of iron, honey of a certain weight. They also studied the methods of the Greeks and began to make decorative items. This we can see in the military means that they used. The Celts became famous with their ceramics, their military class, and decorations. To intimidate the enemy before the battle, the Celts uttered deafening screams and believed into battle pipes, carnies, and sockets of which were made in the form of heads animals. Tin is mined within the country, iron along the coast, but not in large quantities. All copper is imported from outside. The inhabitants of the island are mainly not engaged in agriculture, but feed on milk and meat and dressing animal skins. From here, we can understand that they had a class differences. In Britain, the land was fertile, and the Celts were engaged in agriculture, and their harvest was very good. Britain was also rich in its tin, lead, iron, and coal. It means the culture of Britain in the time of Celts were good. Since the Celts believed in many gods, one of them is prayer, which is the god of iron. As I said, the Celts believed in many gods. Celts named this Druidism. They believe in this power of nature. They do rituals in Stone Age. The question arrives, what is Stone Age? One of the most famous archaeological sites in the world. It is composed of the ring and the horseshoe-shaped structures built from large menhirs. It is located in the center of the densest complex of Neolithic and the Bronze Age monuments in England. It was there before the Celts. What we can say about the Celtic society? Men and women were equal. Women had the right to choose a husband. According to the descriptions of ancient writers, the Celts weren't discriminated. The Celts were one of the most warlike peoples in Europe. Celtic paganism was flights and animistic. Religious beliefs and practices and the Celts different in various lands, which then include into itself Ireland, Britain, Gaul, and Galatia. However, one can still note the commonality of Celtic paganism in these areas. The first invasions of Britain was by the Romans. Britain can make attention of General Julius Caesar. He makes war with Celts, around 12 million soldiers. Caesar was the winner of this war. The Romans were very trained, but Caesar left them, and because he didn't make his own system here. After that, Claudius in 43 Common Era makes another attack to the Britain, and he can take Ireland his rules. Claudius can make his own system in Britain. He started with agriculture and gave more attention to seaside of Ireland, and he was very good on commerce. In this period, Romans were the leader. Romans made ways in Britain, which is used also now. Romans left the imprint in history, which is the very important. The Britons were politists. The Britons made silver money, they were skillful, also the Romans were very smart. They can assume something before, example Hadrian's Wall. It was this principle that the Romans wanted these places to possess. The Romans wanted to conquer the agriculture of their place, which was the fertile. Romans were smart. They knew how to write, which helped us to learn a lot of study their times. They used Latin. Thanks to these manuscripts, we can study them in history today. In short, we can easily say that in Romans' time, the culture of Britain was on the top. In the Roman times, women had no freedom. Women didn't enter politics. Britain remained part of the Roman Empire for several centuries. However, the weakening of the empire began in the 4th century. In 395, it split into two parts, and in 407, they were forced to leave the island. About 200 Romans spread Christianity. The church in Britain grew slowly. The Greco-Roman world wants to spread Christianity. They can put in their system. Scots and Picts dislike Romanism because Romans have a hard time spreading their language and culture. The name of Patrick, who survived the fall of the Roman rule in Britain, he extended the faith to the pagan Irish. He returned to Ireland probably in 420s and spread the Christian religion. In my view, Britons could make their own culture. However, at that time, they lived by rules like Romans. This side of Britain make me apologize because they could build a strong cultural country, but they had opportunity, but they couldn't use them. After that, in Britain came Anglo-Saxons in 449. The Saxons were originally concentrated in the eastern parts of Britain. Anglo-Saxons want to create a new British society. Anglo-Saxons were pagan in religion. The first Anglo-Saxon leaders were named Hengist and Horsa. The Anglo-Saxons were very influential. They built the Anglo-Saxon kingdom in Britain. This period is called dark because there are not many documents about Anglo-Saxons. The Anglo-Saxons were Germanic tribes, and they were familiar with Britain because the Romanians used the mercenary service of the Saxons. It was easy for them to lead Britain. The Anglo-Saxons had an official religion of paganism, but now they have converted to Christianity. Therefore, they influenced the culture of Britain. The Anglo-Saxons were three divided societies. The first class owned the rich lands. The next class was the middle class, who were free citizens, and the third class were slaves who worked for the rich people. It means their society was various. If we talk about the Anglo-Saxons, we can see Beowulf, the only surviving poem of Europe. The main purpose of the poem to spread Christianity. The Anglo-Saxons were not alone, so the Vikings easily penetrated here. The Scandinavian peoples called Vikings. Vikings were very cruel people. They just wanted them aboard. In that time, Britain wasn't a whole kingdom. Britain was completed with many kingdoms. Anglo-Saxons thought if they are united the kingdoms, they can fight with Vikings. They give the kingdoms the name of England and united the kingdoms. This system made King Edward. His grandson Alfred is youngest year. In youngest year, he goes to some countries. He was trained and smart. Alfred with his various attacked to Vikings. He defeated Vikings, but Vikings are still very strong. Also, he made contact with give some parts of Britain. The Vikings' main goals was people make to their slaves. Their naval power was unbeatable because they and without a map can say where they are. Almost in the Vikings literature we can say about Barbaricum and the Corpus. There is a lot of information about the Vikings in these works. The Vikings lived in large family groups. Children, fathers, and grandfathers lived together. When the eldest son took over the farm, he at the same time became the head of the family and responsible for its welfare. By the time 1066 came the Normans. The most famous date in English history is 1066, the year Duke of William. He made a new feudal system, and some parts of Britain which can take from Saxons give the Norman lords and family members. Older Anglo-Saxon feudalism differs from Norman, because of Normans not owners of the parts which give them William. He said, I give you some areas, you can work there, but the production is mine. It is the difference. William Conqueror became a Duke of Normandy, after and later King of England. Why was William Conqueror is important? He never spoke in English and was illustrated. He had more influence on the evolution of the English language. He added French and Latin words to the English dictionary. He made England the most powerful government in Europe. There were several revolts in the next 5 years, which William used as an excuse to confiscate English land and declare it his personal property. He distributed the land to his Norman followers, who imposed their unique feudal system. William retained most of England's institutions and was intensely interested in learning about his new property. He ordered a detailed census to be made of population and the property of England, which was completed in this book. The book is Domesday Book. In this time, church has the main role. The church is dominated by each people's life. People believe God, heaven, and hell. People who worked in the church pay 10% into the church. In the Norman years, we can speak about Thomas Becket and his works, Constitutions of Clarendon, Essays of Clarendon. As we learned from this work, in ancient times Britain was a lot of culture and the public in each of them. Celts, Romans, Anglo-Saxons, Vikings, and Normans. Each population impacted Britain differently.